All right. Hi, everybody. We are about 2 past the hour, so I'm going to get started with introductions and logistics. Thank you for being here this afternoon for the latest edition of the NASEO Residential Energy Efficiency and Beneficial Electrification Task Force. This is the space for state energy offices and their partners and potential partners to discuss the design and implementation of the home energy rebate programs. This afternoon, we're going to take a focus on the independent retailer perspective of implementation of these programs. We've got a couple of folks lined up to discuss their perspectives, share their thoughts with you, and excited to turn it over to them. In the meantime, just some quick logistics. If you've got questions for the folks, I encourage you to ask them throughout the conversation. Please feel free to just add them in the chat whenever you have them, and I will weave them into the conversation. Otherwise, if you raise your hand or you turn on your camera, I'll take that as an indication that you want to jump into the conversation, and I'll call on you to do it that way as well. We are recording this call, and we'll post it on the NASEO website for folks that aren't able to join us today. And then, of course, that means if there's anything you want to share privately, I'm happy to connect you with our speakers if you've got questions that you'd rather not share publicly. With that, we'll turn it over to our speakers. We've got a couple of small independent retailers, like I said, lined up. And so we're going to kick things off by just having them introduce themselves and share a little bit about their businesses. So first up on the list that I see here is Dak. So if you want to go on, introduce yourself, your business, a little bit about where you're located and who you serve, that'd be great. Thanks for being here. Now, it looks from our end that you're muted if you're...
Let's do this.
There we go.
No,
Yes, go ahead.
I run a business, but I can't run a computer that well, so bear with me here. No, my name is Dak Sorensen. I'm with Sorensen Appliance and TV, Geneva, Minnesota. 72 years roughly in business. I'd be the third generation. We are an exclusive Whirlpool dealer. And we sell appliances and just dabble with a few TVs, but it's basically all appliances.
Cool, thank you. And so we're looks like we're still waiting for our other panelists to join us. So I'm sorry, Doc, that means the spotlight is on you for the moment. So curious if we can get started with how you've been thinking about these rebate programs so far. Are you excited? Are you nervous? Maybe we'll just start at the very high level first.
Yeah. I guess, you know what, to be honest with you, I haven't really gave it a whole lot of thought other than just the last meeting we had here a week ago or so. Is it something that's going to work out in my favor? I think it will in everyone's favor. I guess my biggest challenge possibly would be we are all so busy, like everyone in life. How hard is this rebate going to be able to get, or how much more work are we going to have to do to get the money back from the rebate? And I don't know how it all works. Just a couple little challenges there. You know, just to be upfront with you, you know, we all have rebates. Whirlpool, KitchenAid, everyone has a rebate, right? I know why there are rebates, right? It's an incentive for the customer to get that money back. And let's face it, 50% of the customers don't send that rebate in. It's a selling tool. So I just, gonna have to know a little bit more about this whole rebate, how it works.
Maybe we could start then with your experiences with the other rebate programs that you mentioned. What makes it easy for you to implement and run those programs?
Well, good question. So here about, call it 7-8 years ago, we did all the rebates. We filled out all the rebate forms for the customer because I don't like rebates. If you give me a rebate, I'll throw the thing away and I'll walk away. I hate rebates, right? I'll spend the extra $200 and just let's get the job done. So now we make the customer do it. Does the customer always do it? I think we all know the ratio of the GEs, the brands of the world. They know the percentage of what customers don't send that rebate in, right? So it's like they're hoping they don't, possibly. I'm not speaking bad here. They're just hoping they don't, so they don't have to spend that money. If I have to send the rebate in, I'll be honest with you, it's gonna be hard for me to do. Gonna be hard for me to do.
Yeah, so maybe this is where we can start folding in the complications of what these programs are going to look like. So the requirements of these programs is that it's going to be a off the top point of sale rebate, which means before it gets the customer's hands that whatever the rebate amount is taken off their final bill. Do you guys have experience running those types of programs? And if so, how do you make it work?
So it sounds like it's really no different than a spiff slash reward sell through that we got to claim back as the dealer to get that money, right? And that's kind of the same thing. I have, not call it a full-time person, but I have someone that does it probably 15 hours a week running spiffs, rewards, sell-throughs for the store. I mean, there's a lot of money there. So I got to have someone to do it. Now I'm adding this scenario. Is it something that I have to give now 20, 30 hours or another 10 hours a week? I don't know. You know, what am I getting back in return? How long is the money going to sit out there before I get it?
Yeah, thanks for that. And I've got a lot of follow-up questions, but I see that we've got our other panelists on the line. Will, thanks for being here. Sorry about the computer difficulties. If you want to take just a second to introduce yourself, your company, where you're located, and then we are just getting started with how you're thinking about these rebate programs so far at a high level.
I'm Will Trotter's Appliances in Alexandria, Louisiana, and I mean, I'm looking forward to maybe creating some new business. But yeah, like Dak's been pointing out, it's going to be all, how much more office work, paperwork is going to be involved for us to, get our money back, and how long is that going to take? Maybe they'll try, a lot of times it seems like something like this may start through the independent dealers like us, and we're kind of the guinea pigs. And once they get all the kinks worked out, then they may take it and allow the big box stores to take it on, and then we just lose it altogether. But I'm just thinking of all the different scenarios. But I mean, if it can put some more money in our register at the end of the day, we're for it. But we'd like to make it as simple as possible as well.
Yeah. So you're on the line now with folks that have the ability to a certain degree to try to help shape what that cash flow looks like. What would be your preference for how quickly that money gets back in your pockets after you submit the rebate to the state?
Well, like I was mentioning the other day on the call, maybe there was some kind of way they could issue the consumer a prepaid debit card that could only be redeemed at a certain dealer that they went and got all this kind of set up with beforehand. Or there's got to be some ways that they can do something like that, and then we could get our money in a couple of days.
And Dak, what about for you? Is there a timeline where it'd be most your preference for how quickly that money could be turned around?
Well, the state doesn't want me to hold on to their money for that long. So I guess the turnaround, when the money's due to them, they want it snap of a finger. I'm guessing, correct? Like us all. Okay, handcuff me then. I'm the same way. I want my money right away. I think we all have problems, and I'll speak for Will, not knowing his business at all, but I guarantee Will has thousands of dollars out there from customers that haven't paid, and he wants that money. And I'm the same way. So I guess in all fairness, when that customer walks in the door, I don't want to track nothing, call back to the Minnesota or the state and say, hey, where's my money? Oh, hold on here. We had a little hiccup. I know hiccups are going to happen. Now it's just one more thing. So yeah, I think the only way this is going to be 100% doable to make it easy for myself and Will is a debit card to the customer.
I see that we've got a question in the chat, if we could maybe change directions a little bit, because we've got a question about what your interaction looks like with folks who might be installing these appliances in the homes. Can you describe a little bit about if you work with a network, or basically what that process looks like?
Are you talking to me or?
Yeah, you can start. Feel free.
So we have our own delivery. It's all employed through us, right? So we don't do a third party or anything. So our delivery team installs it, delivers it, and everything. So I guess at day's end, is there some criteria that we have to meet for our delivery team, or licensed in a different way?
I'm gonna come on camera, Maddie.
Yeah, feel free.
Hi, Dak. Hi, Will. This is Julie Staveland. I'm with the Michigan Energy Office.
Hey.
So one of the things,
you doing?
so two things that we're looking at in Michigan as we roll these programs out, like we hear you loud and clear on like the payment and like, you know, getting it to the consumer and everything. We're trying to actually avoid that, and how we're rolling out the funds is not have the funds go to the consumer. It's going through like a regional implementer, aggregator / contractor, right? Have it happen all behind the scenes. And so one of the things that, you know, we're looking at is number one for these programs, right? Making sure that the equipment that's being installed is appropriate for the house, so that they're not actually having an increase in their energy bill because they didn't do, you know, like the insulation or whatever, which would actually help if they went with like a heat pump or whatever. So having it not be where the customer is coming to the store with a coupon or a whatever, right? Rather they're working with some sort of regional entity who verifies the project, orders the equipment, and then the equipment is installed. So I guess my question is, so if you guys are going in and installing the equipment, how do you work with maybe like weatherization programs or other low income programs that don't work directly with customers? In terms of the customer approaching you, it's more like another party that's reaching out to identify the homes that these installs go into. And then the second part of my question is warranties. So, how do you guys typically handle warranties for equipment that you install?
Yeah. So right now we work with a weatherization program called SEMCAC. That's just one of them. Kind of a low-based income, you could say. And we're on net 15 with them, as in we deliver the product today, everything goes fine. In 15 days, they make the payment. It's worked out great. I don't have a problem with that. That works out great. Warranty-wise, the same as a regular consumer that buys the same piece. I'll say it's a 1-year warranty, parts and labor. From the day they get 1 year of part and labor warranty. So nothing changes there. We deliver it, we install it, we'll recycle the old stuff. So when we leave, they're up and going.
Sorry, follow-up question. You mentioned recycling, which Michigan is making kind of one of our points for our rebate program as we roll it out here in Michigan. In terms of that, as we're looking at like this kind of bigger influx or this push, do you see any potential issues with the potential, you know, equipment once you take it out of a home and those entities that you have recycling connections with?
Tomorrow's a new day, right? Laws change every day.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't had no, it's all been good to us. Scrap metal, whatever they do, we just take it to the scrap metal. Now it's in their hands, the recycling company, it's out of our hands, right? We're just basically taking it from the customer's house to call it the scrap yard, and it's done.
Okay. And then in terms of the warranty, do you only offer the 1 year on parts and labor, or is there potential extended warranties that maybe the manufacturer has that's available?
Yeah, so it's a manufactured warranty for the most part, and you can jump in, 1 year part and labor. There's certain brands that have a little bit bigger warranty, but it's 1 year part and labor warranty. We do offer an extended 5-year warranty through another company, obviously. If the customer wants that, they can purchase that, and we still service if they have a problem out of that warranty too.
Yeah, the reason that we're looking at warranty is, you know, like one of my concerns is, right, we're talking about replacing equipment and potentially 15,000 homes across the state, roughly all at the same time, which means that they're all potentially going to break down at the same time, but I won't have program funds to go out and fix those. So things that we're looking at building into the program is how can we take advantage of and build in that warranty aspect of it. So I guess like from your, you know, perspective, are there things that we can do as best practices, you know, specific to parts and labor and other warranties, cost on the extended warranty and like how we might incorporate that into our programs?
I guess I have to follow up. What are they getting for a rebate? What is a customer getting, a new range or a new washer?
It's the spread. It's a spread, right? So like with the program, Maddie, are we talking about both or just one?
I think just here is the one relevant for here, unless there's states on the line that think they're going to run homes through retail.
Yeah, so I mean, for this one, they have like the Federal Department of Energy has a list of equipment options that are eligible under this one. You know, it's a heat pump, it's the electric range, it's a dryer, you know, kind of those bigger equipments. Maddie, I don't know if you want to talk to it. It looked like you were gonna say something. Sorry. So there is a set list of equipment that we would be running through the program.
Right. So the customer, I guess can you break it down? So I guess do a rebate for me. Like the customer has $500 to spend or whatever at one of our stores. All the transaction goes fine. It's delivered, it's installed. Now it's okay. You get a 1-year warranty, customer. So now you guys are worried about what happens after the 1-year warranty is up.
Yep.
Is this customer, who gets qualified for this? Is it a lower income? Is it your millionaire down the road? Who gets it?
Yeah, and that's going to vary state to state. There are low income considerations. In Michigan, we're looking at targeting our low income, potentially middle income, but primarily focusing on our low income. We're really looking at how because like those that have the income, right, they haven't made this change. There's nothing that's really going to incentivize them to switch over. But for the low income, right, that don't have the capacity to make this change, you know, to electrify or be energy efficient, this is incentive that we can kind of leverage to help them make that transition is kind of the thought that we're taking in Michigan.
Say, Will, are you still there?
Oh, yeah.
You sell 5-year coverages for 5-year warranties?
Do I?
Yes.
No, we really don't.
And that's fine. So I'm just thinking outside the box, and sometimes it's not good when I think outside the box here. So the rebate, you guys are wondering like what's going to happen after the 1 year is done with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to come to you and say, well, you know, how many free handouts do we give customers, right? So I understand they're getting basically a free range or a free dryer, it sounds like, this customer.
Essentially, yeah. Yes.
Right. And it's not costing them nothing. Now that person, tell me if I'm wrong, is the person that gets a free handout, but then will complain in 7 years that their dryer went out. It's like, really, you got a free dryer. Like, what else can you ask for? So aren't they held accountable? Like, hey, if something happens, life goes on.
Yes, I hear your argument. But when we're looking at the equipment, right, the main philosophy is older equipment, even if it's working great, is more of an energy suck, right? So it caused more of an energy demand in the house. Whereas if we can switch it to a newer appliance, like even if your appliance is working great and it doesn't need to be replaced, but it's from like 1980, I'm just throwing out random numbers here.
Yep.
It's using a lot more kilowatt hours, right? But if we can switch it to a more energy efficient product and reduce the kilowatt hours that are needed for that household, right? Overall, it's going to reduce the burden on the grid. So from the homeowner, especially when we're talking about low income, what's the protections that we're putting in place? They have a perfectly working piece of equipment that just has a high energy burden, right? That has high energy use. So when we transition them to a more efficient one, how are we kind of protecting them so that we're not saying, sorry, you got it free, you're out of luck, figure it out. Especially when we're targeting kind of like the at-risk population.
I guess one of two ways. If they're wanting a new product, they sign off saying, we understand the responsibilities of accepting a new product. They're all excited. Things happen. Or you guys come up with a program. Again, I'm just thinking here, saying, okay, we'll cover this for 5 years. I'll give you my list of dryers and ranges, what it would cost a customer for a 5-year warranty. For instance, $179 will cover that range for 5 years. Parts and labor, no deductible. If they have a problem, we'll take care of it. No questions asked. Is that $179 added on? Is that worth it? I'm guessing to you guys to add into the price, because then they're covered for 5 more years. After that, there's not really a bigger coverage after 5 years.
Yeah. Thank you. That was super helpful.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully it was. I don't know.
Well, sorry, the thought that it triggered, because you're right, 100%, right? Like, and this is the, the balance of like, as government entities, how we roll out programs, right? For those, that don't necessarily have the income for different projects. But there's potential things that we can develop, especially as we partner with utilities on these programs, which I was just thinking, Maddie, just a side thought, like, I just got a thing in the mail from like my utility that's like, you can pay basically like an insurance, right? A monthly fee, so that if your appliance ever goes out, you've got it covered and they'll come in and they'll replace it. I'm wondering if maybe we could do something similar, but targeting just these particular entities. So you gave me a thought. So thank you, Dex.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not a problem.
And you're not the only one. I've seen other folks in the chat who are asking, like, is there an opportunity to factor in the coverage into the costs of the rebate, which is something interesting for all the states to ponder if they want to float that extra expense. Will, was there anything you wanted to add to that conversation before we move on?
No,
Okay,
I'm
cool.
good. I'm just listening.
Cool, no problem. The next topic that I wanted to get your thoughts on is the customer and consumer education. Can you share a bit about what your process is typically like, informing customers about different promotions that are available to them, and then what you would need from states in order to promote these different kinds of rebates? So whoever wants to take that one first, go ahead.
Will, do you want it?
I'm sorry. I got 2 or 3. I was trying to read something. I'm sorry. What was that again?
Customer education. How do you go about promoting different promotions that are available? And what kind of information do you need to share promotions with your customers?
Is this kind of like and sort of jump in, is this kind of like marketing?
Yeah. Like, how do you do it? How have you done it in the past?
Well, I think Will and I are in the same boat here. I mean, obviously, I'm sure he does social media to market our business. Is that correct? So now, so this is where I come in. Like, is this going to be an issue? How much return on my investment am I going to get from this rebate program? If I have to increase my marketing by, I'm just throwing a number, by $10,000 or $20,000 a year, or whatever it may be, to grab more customers off this program, and it's going to be a wash. I mean, I just don't know how much dollars is out there for me to get in my southern Minnesota area. I guess, is there $10,000 out in southern Minnesota? If there is, I'm not going to do the program. I mean, is there going to be customers that, like, gosh, you're one town of 20,000 people, there's going to be, $50,000 worth of new business. I don't want to spend another $20,000 in advertising just to try to chase the dollar and then turn in the rebate program and wait for the program to give me money back and then call up the state saying, hey, where's my money? This one here's, you didn't do it right. You got to redo it. It's like, okay. So it's just, yeah, I just don't want to market more money if I don't have to.
Is there, I don't know how to phrase it other than a line in the sand about how much money would make enough sense for you to really focus in on these programs and promote them and to go through all the extra work that it takes?
I'm going to say there is. I don't know what the number would be, But is that customer already coming to me no matter what? That's the magic question, which we'll never know. Is that customer coming to Will no matter what? I'm guessing some customers are going to come to me no matter what already. So I don't know. I wish maybe that rebate program, why would you guys go out to use a box store? Are you guys going to have box stores able to do this? Because the box stores, they don't know what's going to go on. And, the service, I have no idea. Find someone else to serve. I don't care. So you're just kind of pushing them to the box stores, and they're going to come back on me needing service. And then you guys are going to look bad because you just pushed them to the easy street, possibly. Like, if you can send this customer to Will's store, my store, an independent store, so they're going to get taken care of, I'd say, hey, I'm interested. But if this is open to Menards, Home Depot, Lowe's, whoever else, I'm not going to chase the buck and go after the customer as hard. Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, I think those are what you're describing are the kinds of questions that all of the states are grappling with now, which is what is the best channel for us to deploy these dollars? Because I'm sure you can imagine there is quite a lot of several options that the states could choose. And so, yeah, anything else you want to add in terms of like special considerations for what would and would not, get small businesses to participate would be very helpful.
I mean, is there a list of what states are doing this? Is it just certain states?
All of them.
All the states? Again, I know it's a headache, but is there a list of independent dealers that you can have in each state? And I know that's a hard one to do. That knows what's going on, right? Is that customer able to walk into Home Depot and say, oh, hey, I get that free dryer today because here's the rebate program? I'm guessing that Home Depot person is going to say, I have no idea what you're talking about. They walk into my store, I've got 4 sales staffs here that's going to know what's going on. And like, hey, let's get you taken care of. We'll get it out tomorrow to you. Oh, really? That easy? Yeah, too easy. So I guess depending upon who the state wants to, how hard they want to make it.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing that, the manufacturers of these products may make sure they get to the bigger stores faster. So when all the hype of this stuff, the first people that are really on board waiting to get these products, it may be they have to go there. That happens a lot of times when new stuff comes out. We may not get it as quickly as the big box stores get it. I don't know that. Do you agree with that, Dak?
I do agree with that, and I think and I don't want to talk bad about Whirlpool, GE, Frigidaire. It's not the point.
Right.
We all go, even you and I will. We try to find the easiest path.
Mm-hmm.
I think the easiest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is hey, let's just do this with box stores, or this will be easy because we know where all the box stores are located at.
Right. We can dump $1 million worth of product out this week right here. Let's do it.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. But are they getting taken care of? And you can answer that. Are they getting taken care of the way they should be? Probably not.
Well, in this situation, it's probably going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So,
Ken, I see you've got your hand up. You want to jump in with a question?
Yeah, gentlemen, hello. My name is Ken Owens Jr. I'm from the state of Arizona, and I've had meetings with guys from Samsung and whatnot, and I have expressed my concern of this very issue of making sure that the smaller stores, not just the big box guys, are taking advantage of this business that's going to be coming their way. So I'm very interested in this conversation and making sure that small box stores here in Arizona certainly have the opportunity to take advantage of this. And the word that I'm getting from, and this is just from Samsung, that gentleman that I spoke with, have developed a relationship with, they're very interested, because I've made it very clear to them, well, how do you guys, from the manufacturing standpoint, do you have interest in helping the smaller stores to take advantage of this? And their answer has been unequivocally yes. So I'm sensing here there's some trepidation that you guys are having with this, and understandably so. But I can just say from my standpoint, that they do seem to want to have a very large interest in making sure that the smaller stores, retail stores, have the opportunity of this information. Certainly, I do want to make sure that they have this information so that when their patrons come in your store, so your store specifically, you've got the information that you need. You know how the program works. You know how the rebates work, and can assist them possibly with, maybe even filling out the paperwork. It's not necessarily something that we're going to want to make very difficult. So I would just say, just from my standpoint, I understand your concern, and hopefully the energy officers in your state will be reaching out to you and letting you understand how the process works to make sure that you're not just taken over by the wave of Home Depot and Lowe's. And you also make a very good point, and this is something that I'll take to heart, is the fact that it's more than likely, the smaller stores like yourself may be more interested in servicing their customers, because obviously you want them to come back, as opposed to a Home Depot or Lowe's where they're just another customer. So I think that's a very good point we all should take point on.
Ken, do you have any ideas or suggestions? Obviously, we can make the connections with the folks that are on the line now, but have you had any experience, trying to identify and reach out to all of the small retailers in your state?
That's something that's planned for, but has not happened as of yet. But yeah, we'll probably end up doing, once we get our implementer online, I can actually start tasking them with work. One of the many things that they'll be doing is, finding out, we know the majority of the small box stores here in the state. But when you get to that next level of mom and pop shops, doing the search and making sure that all efforts are made so that they are aware of this information, that they know about it. So if by chance someone comes in their store asking about, hey, I heard there's a rebate going on, that, they're not looking at each other like, what are you talking about? That they actually have the information, they know how it works, so forth and so on. So that is a priority that I will have, and making sure we find out, the Thornson's appliances, the Trotter companies, and, the smaller companies that, do good volume, but, don't necessarily, they're not a Lowe's or a Home Depot, it's Spencer's here in Arizona. They got a bunch of stores all over the city. They're certainly they're not nationwide, but they're citywide, and I'm not even sure if they're statewide, but certainly those would be the ones that I'd be very interested in talking to directly and saying, hey, are you guys aware of the program and how it works? And hey, just be aware this potentially is going to be coming your way.
Thanks. And for Will and for Dak, do you have any recommendations for states if they're looking to broach all of the independent retailers in their territory? What would get your attention if a state reached out to you?
What was the last part of the question? I'm sorry.
What would get your attention from a state if a state reached out to you? What would make sure that you got back to them and wanted to engage and understand how these programs worked?
Well, I got to know the understanding what the rebate entails. I guess I still don't know, anything about the rebate, other than it's on ranges and dryers, like what the amount is it whole? How long is the process going to take to get money back? I think there's just a lot of gray areas that I don't know about yet.
Yeah.
But I'd be all ears.
I guess maybe to rephrase my question, would it be helpful, would it be interesting if a state did a convening, a place for small retailers to sort of plug in and learn more? Or are you guys looking for you guys are too busy for that? You want something much faster, just an email explaining everything? What would be your preference there?
An email would be better for me.
Yeah, if we could get an email just saying, these are qualifying models, this is what we're going to allow you to sell them for, this is what you're going to get. We don't know, I don't think we know if it's a percentage or a straight dollar amount or 100% of the product, that kind of stuff. And then if we do all this, what kind of profit is in it? And that's, time frame and, you know, how difficult I'm not, we have some rental properties that we own as well too. And in the last couple of years, they've had all kind of programs where tenants could go and get rental assistance because of COVID and all that kind of stuff. Well, we had a tenant that it was all done by the state. Well, the tenant, you know, it took them 2 or 3 months. It was 2 or 3 months for the program to get, so they didn't pay their rent for 2 or 3 months. The state says, we're going to pay y'all. And the check was supposed to be sent to us in some kind of way. The tenant talked somebody at the state into sending her the check directly. As soon as she got the check, she cashed the check and moved out. And, you know, and that's just, we just need some kind of straightforward. And this is not going to be that bad, I don't think, but again, it's all based on the numbers. How many of these units do they think are out there to sell in our different markets and all that kind of stuff?
Good. That's a good point, Will. I'm going to go one step further and say, you guys know the customers that are going to get these rebates because they're coming. So why can't you give me a list of, I'll give you a 60-mile radius of where I deliver and say, give me that list or something like that. Or give me a list of all of Minnesota and Northern Iowa. If I call them, it's first come, first serve. Do you have, I mean, they have a list. Now it's up to me. How bad do I want it?
Good food for thought. Again, let me just reiterate the offer, folks. Feel free to message me if you've got questions. In the meantime, I want to move on to the question of online sales. How do you guys offer that with your stores? Could you give states a little bit of a flavor of what it looks like to apply rebates to online purchases?
We're not big on online purchases. I will say I'm hoping to grow that in the next year. That's one of my things to do. So saying right now, no, online sales is not huge at all. So yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm going with that answer.
And Will, what's your perspective on that? Do you guys have an online presence?
Not much at all, but I mean, I think that's something that we need to move toward, just like Dak's saying. We've
Okay.
got, I think he's got several stores. We just have 2. But that's something we're trying to kind of implement. You know, we saw that during the pandemic. You know, there was a lot of business just done over the phone. People would call, and I mean, it's not what we got used to it real quick then and handled it. And I mean, I think there's a great majority of customers that, and that's the other thing. I mean, that this deal could probably be done all basically online. I mean, it seems like y'all could, you know, it could be set up. You know, the customer base, the potential people that can qualify for this. Y'all go out and show them, hey, this is your options. This is what's available to you. And if you want to do it, you just send us an order and we just go get it done. The customer doesn't even hardly have to come in the store. So it's initiated from y'all's side. So we don't have to worry about doing paperwork incorrectly. I mean, it's just a matter of getting it signed off that it was completed. That's something that they'll look at too. I mean, that probably knocks the big box stores out of it, maybe not, but I mean, that's something I think could be handled that way.
Any states or other partners that we've got on the line? Any questions or comments from you all?
I have a question. This is Jenny Maestas from New Mexico. My question is, so you guys mentioned that it would be best to do like a kind of gift card for the particular store, you know, and the preference would be not to have to wait to receive a rebate in the mail or whatever that might be. One of the main points of the program that New Mexico is going to do is that all of the rebates are going to go through one implementer. So The implementer is gonna be the one issuing the coupons, and either the big box stores or the little guys are gonna be the one dealing with the implementer, not the customer, but the implementer, one person, one company to get the refund. Now, is there a possibility that they could get, and from your point of view as a small business, that you could get into some sort of net 15, net 30 contract agreement with the implementer? And that is, you build that relationship and that trust with that implementer. That way you're not hesitant, or there's no question that your money won't get refunded and somebody else is going to take it, or whatever that might be the case.
Any response for Dak or Will?
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, I guess the easiest way for me to explain it, you know, coming from the dealer side, is how can we get our money the fastest? Net 15, net 30. Can we set up some type of portal where we can, you know, it's automatically deposited into our account? I don't want to get into the hassle, and maybe I'm not answering this question correctly. I just don't want to get into the system as we are constantly looking for our money. And if this thing explodes and I sell 100 ranges in a month because of this, hey, great. But I mean, is this going to be a nightmare of like, okay, now you got to get the money. You got to keep track of all these customers that, you know, got the rebate got sent into. I just don't want to get into all, you know, fighting for my money. I just want to do it simple, the simplest way. And I don't know the answer.
Thank you.
Will, any feedback?
Well, I mean, he's, you know, if there's some kind of portal, and as soon as we go submit this sale or this claim, you know, 24 hours, we ought to know if it's at least going to happen, that we did it correctly. We don't want to be 2 weeks or a month finding out that we did something incorrectly. And, you know, and here's another thing. I mean, on these types of programs and just dealing with, you know, if a customer gets a range or a dryer or something, and, you know, in a few weeks, something happens, it's faulty or whatever, and rather than them contacting us, they just go back and contact the state and says, hey, they came out and did this, but it's not working. And, you know, they'll throw a red flag up and say, well, don't pay them for this claim. And we'll be a month finding out why we didn't get paid for that. If we find out why, you know, it's just stuff like that. If there was a way we could know instantly, that, you know, I don't know. Yeah, that's all I need to say, though.
Yeah.
If there was just a way that when we, you know, if we're submitting these things online or something, is it going to tell us within 24 hours, we can go back and look at what we did yesterday and it says approved, you can expect to get your money such and such date. And then we know, and we're not going the time that, you know, when it's time to get the money, we realize something was done wrong, if that's possible.
Another layer that I'm going to add to this now is that it is required that some sort of verification be completed. So there's a question in the chat if it would be too much of a burden to have the installer take photographs and have the customer sign off on it, and be able to provide that documentation to the state. Is that something that your installers are already doing, or would it be a big lift to add this?
I mean, anything that you add, again, not saying that's not the right thing to do. I agree, right? Anything you add and you have to put on to someone else, So now you're putting the rebates onto us. Now I got to put, hey, take pictures. Then I got to take that, send it in. It's one more level of stuff that we got to do. It's one more thing we got to file. Paper. Listen, I hate paperwork, right? No one likes paperwork. I just think the more you add to this, the less likely, and I'll speak for myself, I'm going to participate. I love this rebate program. I really do. I think it's great, and I'm all for it. It's just that how many levels of do I have to add to get this dollar?
That's right. I mean, the installer, that afternoon he's back here, and you got the pictures for that. Oh man, I forgot that one, and that's 40 miles away, or something like that. And then and then the other thing I'm thinking about is it's just all kind of squirrely things that can happen. But just say it's a glass top range and the customer cracks the glass on the top 10 days after it's installed. And, I guess that's where the pictures come in, but they go and call and say, hey, this thing that we didn't get, our stove came in broken or whatever. And that's where the pictures would come in. But we just got to get all that stuff figured out and see if it's worthwhile for us to even, that's the main thing is, how much money is out here to make? Can we gear up to do this for a few months? And is it going to be something worthwhile?
Thanks for the feedback. Any other questions from the audience?
I think a lot of these things that these guys are, Jack, that you guys are concerned about, these are things that I think once the states get their implementer on board, certainly everything that you're talking about, the stuff that I've dealt with for forever, all the issues of verification and making sure that things are done before you leave and taking pictures or whatever. To me, that just behooves you to kind of, CYA when you leave that, everything's been installed correctly so that you've got a basis. If there is a question or if something gets cracked, that you can say, no, when we left, this is the way it was. So those things I think can easily be rectified and taken care of. Also, I think that most of the states are probably going to end up having to have some kind of checklist for this program so that you as a contractor know, okay, these are all the items that we're suggesting that you take care of, the pictures and whatever the other items may be. But I think a lot of these things will be addressed once the implementers come on board. Certainly I've had experience with this stuff. So all this stuff is like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. But a lot of maybe other states that may have not had experience with these types of programs, I think once the implementers come on board, they'll be able to work with the states, give them the kind of force guidance that they need to make sure that the things that you're concerned about as a contractor are actually addressed. And you can feel confident knowing that, hey, okay, I've got this. I know what I have to do. I know what the program's requiring. To me, it sounds like there's a lot of things that maybe of the program that you just don't kind of have bearings on. And I think it sounds like, and this is just me from the outside looking in, that there's some trepidation there that doesn't need to be there necessarily, just because those questions have not been answered that you're asking, which are very fair questions. So I would say just to everyone and to you gentlemen, that I think that if you start to do this, and hopefully with your state offices, I can't, obviously being in Arizona, I can't verify that with anyone else, but certainly these issues will be addressed. And certainly anybody here that that these may be new issues that you haven't thought of, hopefully, this is a good format for you to realize, okay, there's more than meets the eye with some of these things to make sure that not even just the small contractors, but even Home Depot and Lowe's and whatever are on board with this and understand what the processes will be. So it'll be an ongoing process, but I think we'll be able to get everything squared away to a point where you're more comfortable with how things will go out from here. And I do think you guys will make money, certainly with this, as people come in and you can tell them about the programs, and certainly they'll want your services and your help. So
yeah. Thanks for that, Ken. I agree. Does someone else want to jump in with a question?
Yeah, this is Carrie Hearn with the Virginia Department of Energy. Thank you so much for your all's time and perspective on this. And I was curious how you can go about, or how we together could go about working on the profit question around sort of digging into financial scenarios that, you know, is comfortable for you as a private business owner, but also, you know, comes with specific information from our side, and see where there may be opportunities to, you know, include supplemental support services or, you know, like marketing support or other things that don't cut into your profit margins, that are additive, that's within our, you know, ability to use some of the grant funding for that purpose. I'm just curious, like, what that could look like from your perspective around still reaching a really positive profit perspective.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a question that I can't honestly answer of, you know, what amount needs to be set aside to market this the correct way. Is that kind of the avenue we're going off of? Like, how much money will it take to gain traction on this program that you guys are offering from us, the dealer? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know how much it'll cost, just because I don't know how much money is out there that you guys are, you know, providing. How many customers are going to get this? You know, is there a county or, you know, out there that you're saying, hey, I'm going to give $100,000 to this county? You know, I'm like, oh gosh, that's in our county, $100,000. I'm going to go after that. $100,000 for the whole state. I'm just using that number. I'm going to say, well, kiss that one goodbye.
Yeah. So if we had regional volume amounts, that would be a helpful point of data in your calculation.
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak for Will probably too. He has his 4 counties, I'm just saying, that he delivers in every day or whatever it may be. He's going to say, well, gosh, there's $100,000 in each of these 4 counties. Oh, that's a fair amount of money to go after, you know. But if it's $100,000 in his state, he's probably going to, as me, you know, forget it. Let's move on and let's.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll give you just a point of perspective. In Virginia, our allocation for this program is, I know Bettina's on, I think she's still on, right around 93 million for this portion of the program. And of course, that's, you know, statewide. So in terms of scale.
Yep. And I'll say that 93 million kind of, you know, yeah, obviously perks my ears up, right? It's like, okay, 93 million for a state, that's a fair amount, obviously. Yeah, then how do we go about advertising? I guess the next thing would be, I need to know the model numbers that are part of this program. I may not sell any of those model numbers. So is one of my models that I sell on this program? And if it is, hey, great. That's an avenue I can answer more. And I'll say, okay, let's go after this hard.
And on that point, you know, for our planning, it may not be until early 2025 when the rebates would actually be available to consumers. And so within that lead time, is there a process such that we may know today what types of products we're focusing on, or, you know, what types of products DOE has pre-approved? Is a, let's say, 6-month lead time helpful in terms of getting those details to the independent retailers so that you can consider maybe stocking your stores with those types of products?
I think that would be very helpful. The longer lead time, the better, so we can get our hands wrapped around this whole program and think through it a little bit, and how are we going to market and strategize to get this customer into our store, right? But it's still not guaranteed that customer is coming here, right? So yeah, that will give us some definitely good lead times of what we can do, and where, you know, how much funds do we want to set aside to market.
All right, and then I have one other specific question. This is all hypothetical, so you know, don't hold us to this, but let's say, for example, in our marketing efforts, we helped create poster boards that could easily be like self-standing displays in pre-approved retailers across the state with like QR codes and information that's sort of co-marketing between, maybe it's like Department of Energy and the administrator in each state or what have you. Would you, as a store owner, consider like creating space in your retail space to have those in your showrooms?
I guess what's that gonna do us if that customer's already coming to us? I guess, is that, I mean, it's just what are they looking at that board in our showroom for?
Yeah, they may not be aware of the rebates. They may be
But wouldn't they
shopping around.
Wouldn't they be coming to our store no matter, I mean, wouldn't they be already coming to a store for that rebate? I mean, if they have that rebate in hand, they're shopping, aren't they buying already?
Yeah, I guess this is like part of a broader marketing effort in terms of raising awareness for those who may be eligible, but may have, you know, glossed over an email or a radio ad or a postcard that they received in the mail. Like, this is another marketing opportunity. I'm just curious if you see
No, yeah.
value in that sort of in-store marketing experience.
I would rather take that money that you're applying towards that billboard that gets put in our store to another way to market it, to get them to my store.
Uh-huh.
To see that billboard at our store, they're already here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Okay.
want you to create them to come to my store to buy. If that billboard's already here, well, I'm the one that got them here.
Mm-hmm.
Billboard's just sitting here and they're looking at it. Well, I got them here. So I'd rather find a way for you guys to get them to my store.
And that may be like by pre-approving your retail store on a list of retailers through like postcards or social media ads or what have you.
So Will, are you a Whirlpool exclusive dealer or what are you, Will? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we are. We are. We do have another. Our second store does sell some other products besides just some low end freezers and stuff like that. It's kind of our store here is more of a Whirlpool and KitchenAid, and then we sell high end furniture and stuff. And then this other store across the river, it sells kind of mid to lower end appliances and mid to lower end furniture too. But Dak, you've been in the TV business all your life, hadn't you?
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay. It's taken me, I've been trying to think of this for a week now, but you remember when high definition and all that came out and they had the digital to analog boxes that everybody could sign up and get?
Yep.
You remember that?
I do.
This is what this is. It's taken me a few days it just dawned on me. This is what this is reminding me of.
And how did they, great question.
I don't know. We didn't participate in it. It didn't look like there was anything to get out of it. So we didn't participate in that, but it was something where they could go and get like a voucher or something to get one. Yep. But what I'm thinking is, you're talking about advertising and all this stuff. I mean, I don't know, us as dealers and basically installers is what it sounds like they're looking for. Why can't we just become a contractor for the service? The consumer goes and registers to get this rebate, or and then when they do, they determine if they're approved to get it and what things they qualify for, be it a heat pump or a dryer or a range or whatever. And then they have a selection of what they can pick from the various manufacturers. And then they can, and if it's something that's in our area, then, we're picked as the vendor to take care of it. The manufacturer gets paid for the product and we basically just get paid for completing the service. You know, we make a profit out of handling it, but if it's installing it and all that, that's important, then we just, you know, that's basically what we get paid for. And that just takes the burden off of us on all that stuff. You know, the advertising, that's hard to, it's hard to put a dollar on that, you know, without knowing what's out there to get.
I agree.
Cameron, I see you maybe nodding, but you've got your camera on, and you get the last word for the day because we're a little bit out of time.
Oh goodness. Well, I think Will and Dak, they've hit it pretty well with the questions. But yeah, what Will just said is ideally the first 3 to 6 months, the state is going to be working with their implementer is to get you trained up, pre-verified, whether it's using the funds that the implementer is going to have to market it out there to the citizens, to the future customers for you, is what the implementer will do. And then we'll either use the regional councils to get word out, different utilities for different programs, whatever way to get funds out, or even like for my state, we're under commerce. So our website will be putting information out. So that way, if they're in your service area, you're already pre-approved as a vendor and you use this one appliance you install. So they're like, yes, I've been verified on our end. And then we just send it, like Will said to you, let's get this installed. They're already approved, you pre-verified. And then whenever you're done with the service, you take some photos, do some notes, send it back to us, net 15, net 30, whatever we have an agreement, and you get paid. And so what a lot of the comments were saying was, well, this is some customers aren't going to be there without these rebates. This is just going to open up to where it's going to be more funds to where they can get that appliance. And maybe they had that $1,000 they're going to spend anyways in your store. Now they could buy something else. So that's more business for Will and Dak. And then down the line, a couple of years, like, wow, they did an amazing job installing this. It's super easy with the rebates. I want to get that TV, or I want to get that Whirlpool. So it's kind of a cycle. So that's kind of a little bit of everything, but that's what we're looking to do.
Well, thanks for sharing that. We've got, like I mentioned, we're over time, so I thanks everybody for sticking around. Thank you especially to Will and Dak for lending your wisdom, your expertise with all of the states that we had on the line today. If anyone has any follow-up questions, feel free to send them my way. But otherwise, really appreciate you guys taking the afternoon to spend it with us. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. And I'm sure I will see all of you on another call soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
folks.
you.